top stories. Minister Richards opens CARICOM Energy Month. Liat returns to the skies. And Florida elderly among those hit hard by COVID-19 pandemic. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Tuesday, October 20th, 2020. I'm your presenter, CHAIRA Flanders. Nationally, St. Kitts and Nevis will join with other CARICOM member states to celebrate CARICOM Energy Month this month. During an address on Saturday, Minister of Public Infrastructure, Utilities, Posts and Urban Development, Honorable Sean Richards, said his ministry, in collaboration with other stakeholders, organized several activities to inform the general public of the developments in the energy sector. The minister said the activities will be held under the theme, A Resilient Community, Energy at the Center. He spoke of the significance of this theme.
This theme is meant to highlight the fact that a resilient energy infrastructure is one of the critical components of a resilient society. It should be noted that the first two letters of resilient, R and E, are capitalized and separated from the rest of the word by a hyphen. This is to emphasize the central role that renewable energy is expected to play in the quest to make our energy infrastructure more resilient.
Mr. Richards explained how St. Kitts and Nevis can achieve infrastructural resilience in the energy sector.
Making energy infrastructure resilient involves making it less susceptible to natural and man-made disasters, international events such as wars, and by shielding the citizens of the Federation from the uncertainty of fossil fuel prices. This can be done by producing our energy from renewable indigenous resources such as wind, solar, geothermal, and municipal waste, relocating our infrastructure underground, and developing the local capacity to put in place the appropriate legal framework and to finance, design, install, operate, and maintain these renewable energy projects.
CARICOM Energy Month is an annual CARICOM event that aims to increase awareness about energy matters, given the critical role of energy to economic and social development. In other news, the St. Kitts and Nevis Bar Association kicked off its Law Week 2020 activities with a special church service at the Rivers of Living Water Christian Center on Sunday. Members from the association, as well as other legal representatives, attended the service. A similar service was also held at the Eden Brown Church in Nevis. Activities continue with a mock trial at the Surly Llewellyn Moore Judicial and Legal Complex this afternoon. The activities being held under the theme, Justice in the New Normal, Crisis Meets Opportunity. And as we wrap up local news, the Judicial Education Institute of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, or ECSC, and the University of the West Indies, UWI, is gearing up to host an upcoming mediation training program. This training is designed to teach participants the skills necessary to act as mediators in the resolution of civil disputes. The training is also the first step for anyone who wishes to be placed on the roster of court-connected mediators of the ECSC, or who only wish to use the skills honed for private mediations, professional negotiations, or conflict resolution. The training sessions will be held in the Innovation Hub at the National ICT Center, Southwell Industrial Park, from November 16th to the 27th, from 8 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. daily. For registration, persons can email teslin.flanders@gov.kn or call 467-1333. The deadline is 11th November 2020. We now move on to news on the regional scene. After a 7-month absence, Liat on Sunday operated its first flight from the V.C. Bird International Airport in Antigua to the Douglas Charles Airport in Dominica. We hear more in this report.
Sunday's flight was mainly a ceremonial restart for the airline, where a short briefing was held in Dominica following Flight 401's arrival. Liat said it will operate a limited schedule of flights when it launches its commercial schedule later in November. This will return connectivity to its network, which was impacted by the shutdown. Dominica's Tourism Minister Denise Charles welcomed the airline back into Dominica and to the skies following Liat's arrival in the country on Sunday afternoon.
I am delighted to welcome back Liat, the Caribbean airline, to Dominica. This is a momentous occasion for the government and people of Antigua for many reasons. Not only does this flight signal the return of Liat to the skies, but today is also Antigua and Barbuda's 49th year of independence.
Liat was forced to suspend its services in April 2020 due to the pandemic, which led to several destinations imposing travel bans and closing their borders.
In St. Lucia, the home of the leader of the opposition, Philip J. Pierre, was targeted by armed bandits in the early hours of Friday, October 30th, 2020. The robbers, brandishing firearms, who reportedly fled the scene after triggering the alarm system, have been captured on surveillance. More in this report.
No place seems out of bounds for barefaced criminals. A rash of burglaries in the span of a week has left both the public and private sector shaken at the boldness of thieves. This time, the unlikely target is the residence of the leader of the opposition, which fell prey to unscrupulous robbers. Communications Officer of the opposition SLP, Mondi Lewis, recounts the incident that has left the Castries East MP's family counting their blessings.
The home of political leader Honorable Philip J. Pierre was burglarized by two armed assailants. Fortunately, the family was not physically hurt. However, they are deeply traumatized by this brazen attack of their home.
CCTV footage shows the two armed robbers attempting to gain entry into the home of the opposition leader. One of the men's face can be clearly seen in the video, while the other bandits' features are covered. Lewis says the Royal St. Lucia Police Force is investigating the matter.
The matter is now an ongoing investigation by the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. We are asking St. Lucians to remain vigilant and also to keep Honorable Pierre and his family in their thoughts and prayers, especially during these troubled times.
The extent of the security breach remains unclear, and as of news time, no information was provided on what was taken and the value of the assets. Solange Alfred, HTS News Force.
On the international scene, President Donald Trump continues to draw fierce criticism for his response to the coronavirus pandemic. But in Florida, his record on the health crisis could be especially crucial. The elderly population there has been hit hard, along with minority communities and businesses. Al Jazeera's Andy Gallagher has more.
The Sunshine State is truly one of the most beautiful places on earth.
As Election Day approaches, it's become clear that of all the swing states, Florida is the one that matters most to both Joe Biden and Donald Trump. The candidates and their surrogates have crisscrossed this state in a blitz of campaigning that reflects Florida's status as the biggest battleground arena. It's also a state that's been ravaged by COVID-19, with more than 16,000 deaths and cases once again on the rise. The state's governor, a close ally of the president's, has refused to initiate a lockdown, and Trump's doubling down on his opinion that the economy comes first.
We locked down, we understood the disease, and now we're open for business, and that's what it is. And that's what it is. This explosive economic growth is 4 times greater than what the experts expected.
But Florida's large elderly population has been hit hard, accounting for more than 40% of all fatalities. President Trump did well with older voters here in 2016. Political experts say that's changed.
But I think seeing the way the Trump administration has handled this pandemic has convinced a large number of senior voters that they need to see a change, need to see somebody else in charge of this pandemic, somebody who's more inclined to take it seriously and to actually try to bring this country safely through it so that they can see their grandkids again.
Communities of color in Florida have also been disproportionately hit by the virus. Underlying health conditions, limited access to healthcare, and poverty have all made things worse. White voters helped propel the president to a narrow victory in Florida 4 years ago, but he also needs as many votes as possible from Hispanics and African Americans. Those supporting the former vice president say he's more trustworthy.
He is non-racist. He always talks about everyone. He doesn't separate black from white and all the proposals that he have proposed. And we believe him. He tells the truth. And if he make a mistake, he say he's sorry. And that we support. We never hear Trump say sorry for nothing with all the lies that he tells.
Like other states, early voting in Florida has seen record turnouts, with the pandemic a big issue on voters' minds. Everything about the pandemic during this election cycle has been politicized, from the wearing of masks to the balance between keeping the economy going and the dangers of a deadly virus. Whether that translates to a victory for either candidate remains to be seen. But here, every vote counts, and the optics between these two campaigns couldn't be more different. An electorate polarized by the handling of the pandemic hasn't given either candidate a commanding lead in Florida, but there's no question that it's one of the dominant issues, and one that'll play a major role in deciding who wins the presidential election. Andy Gallagher, Al Jazeera, Miami, Florida.
In France's southern city of Nice, a mass has been held at the Basilica of Notre Dame, where 3 people were killed on Thursday. Police have now arrested 7 people for the attack, including the assailant. Al Jazeera's David Shatter reports.
Inside the basilica, the photographs of the attackers' 3 victims. Their blood and their deaths, a desecration of a place of worship. The Bishop of Nice used holy water to consecrate the building again, to allow it once more to become a building for prayer and hope and healing.
Les pierres ne peuvent crier leur horreur.
The stones can't speak of their horror in the face of a law of hatred, violence and death. The mission of this place was perverted. This place was profaned.
The chief suspect is among 7 people arrested since the knife rampage. Investigators say he arrived in the city 2 days before he broke into the basilica. His network of supporters is now being pieced together. Outside the church, police kept the crowds back with barriers.
Perhaps the strongest words during the ceremony came from the Bishop of Nice, Monsignor Marceau. He said that 3 lives had been stolen, and 3 lives stolen in the name of a false face of God or of a perverse ideology. Those are phrases that perhaps will echo across Nice and across France.
All places of worship of every creed in France are now being given protection. David Chater, Al Jazeera, Nice.
And now for the weather. Present weather is cloudy with hazy conditions and showers in the vicinity. A moderate breeze of 10 miles per hour is moving from the east-southeast. Current temperature is 28 degrees Celsius, that's 81 degrees Fahrenheit. Seas are reaching 5 to 7 feet. A small craft advisory is in effect. Expect partly cloudy skies with a 30% or low chance of showers today and tonight. Sunset today will be at 5:40 p.m. and the sun is expected to rise tomorrow at 6:10 a.m. And that brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast today, Monday, November 2nd. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm your presenter, CHAIRA Flanders. Have a good one.